Good morning, students. Welcome to the subject of finance management. We are in our unit number 4, that is all about management of receivables, right? Under this unit, we have checked out with many aspects like introduction, objectives, the different costs associated with it, why there is a need to have the credit being granted, right? And we have also seen the scope. As far as the scope is concerned, there are 5 types of scopes that we have just overviewed in the previous session, and we have checked out with one of the major scope, that is credit policy, in the previous session, right? And in today's session we'll go ahead with the different other types of scope. Coming up to the scope or functions or maybe the problems related to management of receivable, the first scope that we discussed was credit policy, which includes credit standards, credit terms and collection policy, right, which we have seen quite in detail. We move on to the next second scope, that is considered to be the credit analysis. See, credit sales occurs or credit sales gives rise to receivables. This we know, right? Because there is credit sales, તો જ credit management receivables નું કરવું પડે, કારણ કે receivables એવી amount છે જે તમારે તમારા કસ્ટમર્સ પાસેથી, જે લોકોને તમે ક્રેડિટ ફેસિલિટી આપી છે એની પાસેથી તમારે obtain કરવાનું રહેશે, right? So credit policy was the first scope. The next important scope comes up is credit analysis, right? Now why this credit analysis is required? This is required to examine a prospective customer. That means it is evaluation of to whom you are providing the credit facility. તમે જેને ક્રેડિટ ફેસિલિટી પ્રોવાઈડ કરો છો, પ્રોસ્પેક્ટિવ કસ્ટમરને તમે જેને ક્રેડિટ ફેસિલિટી આપો છો, એનું એક ઇવેલ્યુએશન છે. તો જ તમે you can take up a risk, or what happens is it will turn up into bad debts. That is why it is very important to see that, or you go through the analysis of the prospective customer, and that is to check that how the say the customers will be able to pay it back, right? So there are various ways, there are various steps that are being followed to take up with the credit analysis. So if we check about the credit analysis, it is already there in your text, right? It is telling us that how the credit analysis can be done, what are the ways, what are the steps of doing the credit analysis. One by one we shall be seeing it, all of them. See, first of all, when you want to take up with the analysis of a customer, that means તમારે prospective customer ની credit worthiness check કરવી છે, અથવા તો એ whether that person is eligible to get the credit facility or not. When you want to check that involves a different ways or different steps, right? First of all, what we do is we get the information about them. That means obtaining the credit information, that is checking the credit worthiness of the prospective customer. It may be in the form of the character, maybe the capacity, capital, collateral and conditions. 5 C's are very important. This is a traditional approach wherein you are checking the credit worthiness of the customer, right? And when you check the credit worthiness of the customer, what we can do is firms may rely on the different sources through which the credit information can be gained. ક્યાંથી આપણને એની credit worthiness ખબર પડશે? તો there are various ways of getting it, say through financial statement, bank references, trade references, different associations, or maybe there may be other sources like bureau, stock market, credit rating organizations. આ બધી જગ્યાએથી આપણે શું કરી શકીએ? તો કે એની credit worthiness છે અથવા તો એની credit information છે, first stage ઉપર આપણે collect કરી શકીએ. કારણ કે why this step is so important, why this function is so important? કારણ કે credit analysis કરીએ તો જ આપણને ખબર પડશે કે which customers are actually eligible to get the credit facility given by the company, or else શું થશે જો credit worthiness નું આપણે analysis નહીં કર્યું હોય અથવા તો credit analysis નહીં કર્યું હોય prospective customer નું, that there are all chances that we may not come across or we may not find out the correct kind of customers who may not be worth getting the benefit of credit sales. That is why first stage is to collect the information about the prospective customer ની credit worthiness ની information જુદા જુદા sources માંથી collect કરી શકાય છે. કયા financial statement માંથી, bank references may be there, trade references may be there, right? So from associations also, different associations with whom the customer may be a member, then from there the information can be collected. Again, there may be other resources like say from the bureau, from the stock market, or maybe few organizations are there who have the credit rating methods or systems with them. Then with these different sources you can find out the credit worthiness of the customers, and likewise we can then give the credit facilities, right? Next stage that comes up is credit analysis. After you get the information from the customers, right, we can take up with the credit analysis. Now what is this credit analysis all about? It is the, if the information is analyzed properly, that means it is being examined properly, firm will come to know with the about the customer's background, right, and the related risk of the business. See, supposingly if a customer is not worth, after you get the information you find out that he has been already incurring bad debts to the with the other companies, or he has not been very much vigilant while paying the dues in the previous transactions with the other companies, then at that time we can reduce the risk, right? So a deep study is being done on the information that is being collected, and analysis of the financial ratios and analysis of the business provides a kind of proper investigation. So credit analysis may be say quantitative, or it may be qualitative, right? It depends. So credit analysis is what it can be considered as a detailed study of the 5 C's of the credit of the customer, right, through whatever the information that we have collected from the different sources. They are being scrutinized properly, and they are being analyzed properly at the second stage. Once that is done, the third important stage comes up is about taking the credit decision. Who takes this credit decision? It is the finance manager taking the credit decision. So on the basis of scrutinized available information of the applicant, what a finance manager does, he has to take up the decision regarding the credit worthiness of the application. You have information, you have analyzed it, so now you can find out that who are the worth customers to get your credit facility. So credit facility then can be provided to the worth customers, to the potential customer who matches with the established credit standards, and the decision regarding the credit and the amount to extend to the applicant depends upon the credit worthiness of the prospective customer. That means a decision, this is a decision taken up by the manager. તો મેનેજર ડિસાઇડ કરે છે કે જે પણ ઇન્ફોર્મેશન મળી છે ફર્સ્ટ સ્ટેજ ઉપર, એને એનાલાઇઝ કરી છે સેકન્ડ સ્ટેજ ઉપર, થર્ડ સ્ટેજ ઉપર એના એનાલિસિસ, એના રિઝલ્ટના આધારે he takes up the decision કે ખરેખર એપ્લિકન્ટ જે છે, જે કસ્ટમર છે, એને ક્રેડિટ ફેસિલિટી આપી શકાય કે નહીં, અને આપી શકાય તો ટુ વોટ એક્સટેન્ટ. તો દેટ ઇઝ ડિસાઇડેડ હિયર એઝ ધ થર્ડ સ્ટેજ, વિચ ઇઝ નોન એઝ credit decision. Once the credit decision is done, that okay, this suppose customer A, we are ready to give him the credit, then what happens at the fourth stage is that the terms and credit limits are being decided, terms and conditions are being decided, right? So the finance manager has to decide about the credit terms and the limit. That means it includes the credit period, cash discount period, what are the terms and the conditions, right? In short, this stage of the firm determines the amount of credit that is to be given, the credit period, that means the duration of the credit, if the cash discount facility is provided, how much that cash discount should be there, what will be the period of say availing the cash discount, જે એ વગેરે વગેરે કેટલી બધી જે ટર્મ્સ એન્ડ કન્ડિશન્સ છે જેના ઉપર પછી ક્રેડિટ સેલ્સ કરવું પડે, તો એ ટર્મ્સ અને કન્ડિશન્સ અને ક્રેડિટની લિમિટ સે 10 days, 40 days, 55 days, whatever is being decided, એ આ સ્ટેજ ઉપર નક્કી થાય છે. એન્ડ ધ નેક્સ્ટ કમ્સ અપ ઇઝ ફિફ્થ વન, દેટ ઇઝ કલેક્શન પ્રોસિજર. સપોઝિંગલી ક્રેડિટ દઈ દીધું, ક્રેડિટ વર્ધીનેસ ચેક કરીને ક્રેડિટ આપી દીધું, ટર્મ્સ એન્ડ કન્ડિશન્સ પણ નક્કી થઈ ગઈ, તો વોટ વિલ બી ધ કલેક્શન પ્રોસિજર? કારણ કે આ તો this is very important stage. It is only through this stage that you will be getting your receivables. So after having granted the credit facilities to customer, the show does not end there. The efforts are to be made for their collection also, right? So when dues are mature from the customers, that means when the credit period is over, ત્યારે કામ અહીંયાથી ચાલુ થાય છે. The firms will give the polite gentle reminders to the customers, right, when the credit period granted is over, right? If it is not collected within that, then there may be the telephonic advices to the customers, and even if the payment is not yet received, then they may go with the legal actions. તો એ કઈ રીતે પ્રોસિજર ફોલો કરવું કયા કસ્ટમર સાથે, એ આ ફિફ્થ સ્ટેજમાં નક્કી થાય છે, દેટ ઇઝ કલેક્શન પ્રોસિજર. સો ઇન શોર્ટ, in the scope number 3 we can see that what will be the credit analysis. So credit analysis can be done with the 5 stages, that is getting the information, then making the credit analysis, taking the credit decisions, then deciding the credit terms and credit limit, and at the end then deciding about the collection procedure, that with whether the customer is ready to give with the gentle reminders, whether he needs a kind of say telephonic talk with him to get the receivables from him, or it may be in the worst case, if the customer is not ready to provide you with the receivables, then at that time the legal actions may also be taken up. So this is what is the collection procedure that is generally followed by the finance manager or by the company, right? That comes under the scope number 3, scope number 2. We are going for the third major scope or functions or problems, that is known as determining the size of receivables. Size of receivables એટલે volume. કેટલું રિસીવેબલ્સ આપણે એગ્રી કરવું, કેટલું રિસીવેબલ્સ માટે આપણે તૈયાર છે, કેટલા રિસીવેબલ્સનું રિસ્ક આપણે લઈ શકીએ છીએ. તો દેટ ઇઝ ડિસાઇડેડ ઓર દેટ ઇઝ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ ફંક્શન ઓફ ધ મેનેજમેન્ટ ઓફ રિસીવેબલ્સ. સી, ઇકોનોમિક કન્ડિશન્સ એન્ડ ધ ફર્મ્સ ક્રેડિટ પોલિસી આર ધ ચીફ ઇન્ફ્લુઅન્સીસ ઓન ધ સાઇઝ ઓફ ધ ફર્મ્સ અકાઉન્ટ રિસીવેબલ. વેધર સાઇઝ મીન્સ વોલ્યુમ, કે કેટલું વોલ્યુમ આપણે સહન કરી શકશું. ધ ફિનાન્સ મેનેજર કેન વેરી ધ લેવલ ઓફ સાઇઝ ઓફ રિસીવેબલ્સ, કીપિંગ ઇન માઇન્ડ ધ ટ્રેડ ઓફ. હી હેઝ ટુ કીપ ઇન માઇન્ડ કે પ્રોફિટેબિલિટી ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે કે રિસ્ક ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે. બરાબર, પ્રોફિટેબિલિટી જોઈએ છે તો કેટલું રિસ્ક લઈ શકાશે. અકોર્ડિંગલી ધ થિંગ્સ આર બિંગ પ્લાન્ડ આઉટ. So the sale of the goods on the credit is essential in modern economic system. We all know that, right? But in this cutthroat competition, you have to come up with the facility of providing credit to your customers. But investment in receivables involves benefits also, and it involves the cost also. So it is up to the company to decide that how much benefit is to be taken up અને આપણે કેટલી કોસ્ટ સહન કરી શકશું, right? So market conditions and industry practices have considerable effect on the size of receivables. કઈ રીતે પ્રેક્ટિસીસ ચાલે છે, કઈ રીતની માર્કેટ કન્ડિશન્સ છે, એના આધારે પછી નક્કી કરી શકાય કે કેટલી આપણે રિસીવેબલ્સ છે એની સાઇઝ ફિક્સ કરી શકશું, right? Moreover, the size of the receivable will be very much depending upon the volume of credit sales. તમે કેટલું ક્રેડિટ સેલ્સ પ્રોવાઈડ કરો છો એના આધારે રિસીવેબલ્સની સાઇઝ ફિક્સ થઈ શકે છે, right? Now when you are fixing the size, when you are deciding the size of the receivables, then there are so many determinants. There are કેટલાય ફેક્ટર્સ છે કે જે અફેક્ટ કરે છે, ને એ બધા જ ફેક્ટર્સ છે એ ક્યાંક ને ક્યાંક તો તમારા ડિસિઝનને કેટલું સાઇઝ ઓફ રિસીવેબલ્સ રાખવો એને અફેક્ટ કરતા હોય. Now those factors we are going to see it here in detail, right? Like credit sales. So if the goods are sold on cash તો કોઈ પ્રશ્ન જ નથી, but when the firms decides to sell something on credit, it is resulted into receivables. We all know this. So account receivables are directly related with the volume of credit sales. That means more the credit sales, more will be the amount of receivables, right? If the credit sales decline, the investment in receivables also decline automatically. So there is a direct relationship. So credit sales કેટલું આપવું છે એની સાથે સિદ્ધું receivablesની સાઇઝ સાથે એનું સિદ્ધું રિલેશનશિપ છે. નેક્સ્ટ કન્સેપ્ટ ઇઝ ક્રેડિટ પોલિસી. તમારી ક્રેડિટ પોલિસી કેવી છે, લિબરલ છે કે ટાઇટ છે? લિબરલ હશે તો રિસીવેબલ્સ વિલ બી હાયર, મોર ફેસિલિટી વિલ બી ટેકન અપ, એન્ડ ઇફ ઇટ ઇઝ રિજિડ, ઇટ ઇઝ સિલેક્ટિવ, then the receivable sides will be comparatively lower. So there is a inverse relationship between the liberal credit policy and the receivables, and the rigid policy and the receivables. Third factor is terms of credit sales. Terms of credit sales include the period of credit, rate of discounts, decisions of cash sales, etc. So if the firm allows long-term credit, its ratio with the sales may be higher. Naturally, the sales will increase. If the collection is made promptly, the investment in receivables will be less. For this, the firm should establish a sound collection policy and set up their own credit collection standards, or maybe the department, right? So whatever the terms you are deciding, depending upon that, the receivables will be, or the size of the receivables can be fixed, right? Next concept is relation between cost and profit. See, we have seen in the previous lecture that there are some costs involved as far as maintaining the receivable is concerned. So, say bad debt cost, administrative cost, cash discount cost, opportunity cost, if you remember. So, on the other hand, increase in credit sales may increase the profit, but you have to also see that it should not increase the cost. Right. So if finance manager feels that if he is increasing the cost, then he has to cut down the receivables. He has to see that we will not be able to provide with more credit sales then. So the relationship between the cost and profit is to be understood properly, and then the size of receivable can be fixed. Next comes up is slow payer customers. See, some customers are slow payers, right? Even though they are handled very tactfully, such type of customers increase the size of receivables. Naturally, they pay very slowly, very gradually. So that amount always gets stuck up. Sixth point is relationship with the dealers and their requirements. It is like either to maintain relationship or to reward them for their regular payments, right? Firm extends the credit. Sometimes dealers are not able to operate without the without granting the facility of the credit. Under this circumstances, credit sales may be higher, right? So many a times you have to grant the dealers with the credit facilities, only then they can increase the sales. So if you are increasing or if you are granting more sales credit to the dealers, naturally the receivable size will increase. Again, the seventh point comes up is seasonal firm. In the business of the seasonal characteristic, credit sales go up with the total sales, right? In season, customers are sold with the goods on the credit to boost the sales, and then the receivables take its own time, and you may not receive in the same season. That may be the case. So seasonal firm may have to take up, or they may have to face this particular thing. Right. Next comes up. Next factor is said to be the facility of billing, discount, and endorsement. See, if the prompt facility is available to discount the bills receivables either with the bank or with the factor, then there is decrease in the size of receivables. If you have keep this facility for the customers that on discounting the bill, you can discount the bill with the banks or the factors, then the receivable amount will naturally decrease. And if there is no such kind of arrangement, right, then what happens is that the level of receivables will be high, right? If the bills are not honored on the date of its maturity, the investment in this will be larger, as I said. So facility of bill discounting is provided or not, that is one of the factors that affects the size of the receivables. Ninth is market. Now, there are two aspects affecting the size of receivable. First one is marketing practices. Firms continue giving up with the credit because there is a market practice, right? And second is to explore a new market wherein no credit facility is granted before, but you want to grant the credit facility and you want to launch a new product. All these will increase the credit sales, which will result into increase in receivables. So it depends that if the practice of the market is there to grant the credit, there is no option, you have to grant the credit. But if it in the new market with the new product, if you want to enter and you want to say scheme the cream, then at that time you may come up with the credit sales, and you can, at that time what happens is the receivable amount will be higher. 10th one and the last one comes up is payment habit of the customers. See, some of the customers, despite of their sound financial positions, no, they don't come up, or they ignore the taking up with the cash discount, and they delay their payments. Now in this, because of their idleness and carelessness, what happens is they don't make the payments properly in time, then that will increase the receivables. So as discussed here, there are as many as 10 such determinants which finalizes the size of the receivables. How it affects the business, accordingly it will decide the receivables size, right? So that is scope number 3 that we have discussed. Coming up to scope number 4, that is control of account receivables. And scope number 5, that is about maintaining the optimum level of receivables, that we will discuss in the next lecture to come up. So I end up this session here, so that we can take up with the next session with the next scopes. So in all we have studied 5 scopes. out of which 3 we have done. 4th and 5th will be taking up in the next session to come. I repeat, up till now, whatever the scopes that we have done, that means the functions of the receivables that we have seen are considered to be the credit policy, credit analysis, determining the size of the receivables, under which we have studied with the different determinants, and 4th will be the control on account receivable and optimum level of receivables, that we will be studying in the next session to come. Till we meet next, it's a goodbye from my side. Take care of yourselves and keep the text before you while listening to the video lectures. Thank you.